Oh. Alright.
We got another one. I know it's... Jack, you copy? I can see more smoke to my west. See more smoke to my west. Appears to be...
Okay. Hey.
You know what? I don't have it. Update me tomorrow.
Alright. Okay, let's go. Alright. Yo, what the? What the heck? What is going on over there? Yo, can I join the party? Let me join. Hey. They having fun without me. Hey. Hey guys, I'm just gonna take a picture of you, alright? Selfie. Hey. Hey guys. Oh. Wait, we're friends, alright? Oh. Oh. Yo! They just teleported! Hey, pull up! Pull up! I lied. Don't pull up, please. Oh, I just... Naughty! I think they knew. I think they knew, bro. Discord? Yeah. Alright. I'm calling you. I don't know where nobody else. I like the way nobody else. Join up, bro. Ain't nobody else. Give me a sec. Okay. I like the way nobody. I like the way nobody else. What the? What is going on over there? Yo, can I join the party? Let me join.
Yo, hello. Yo.
Yo.
Yo, screen share the thing. Screen share.
Okay. Wait. Oh, I was just clip farming, and then I'm gonna post that on YouTube. I've already beat it, so I already know what happens. Wait, do you wanna play something? Wait, let me play something else. Do you wanna do like Hello Neighbor mods? Cause I got like a billion. I can
Sure.
screen share them.
Sure.
I like the way nobody. Wait. Skibidi toilet will be. I like the way nobody. I like your call. Hello neighbor. Tiny build. Like load. I like the way I'm about to screen share. Alright. Can you see my screen?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wait, which one should I play? Yeah, which one should I play?
Let's do the beginning of the story.
The beginning of the story. Where is it? Is it up here?
Below.
Oh.
Below. Up.
What is this?
Up.
Yo!
Up. Go slow. Let's go slow. Yep.
Oh.
Wait. The beginning of the story. Yep.
Oh. Alright, let's do this. Oh, what is this? It's actually like a gun. Alright.
Huh.
I skipped. What the? Yo! Wait, this is okay fire. Just giving alpha vibes. Is this a map? Yo. Wait, you tell me we have to go through all of that?
W map.
Okay, let me just. Hello? Yo, what are we doing now? Oh my, sorry, dude. Wait, he's upstairs. I can go. Go. What is in here? What did I just walk into? Oh, crap. What is going on? He won't see me, right? Oh my gosh, he didn't see me. Oh, I'm so cooked. Hello?
Hello.
Block the door. I can't block it. Please. Bro, what do I do? He's sleeping. Wait. I can literally just search everything. Wait. What is this? Light bulb? It's there has to be a key in here, surely. Why does he have a whole wine station? Like, wait, the sleeping pills. Can I put this in his milk? Oh my gosh, bro! I didn't know there was an upstairs. Hey, so far W map. What kind of bedroom is this? Don't tell me I have to go in through the inside. Wait. Oh my gosh, let me go, bro.
Texas's senior senator
Oh.
charts out the path of the nation's 104th Congress. Republican Phil Gramm interpreting what he feels is the cause of recent voter frustration.
I believe the message of this election is very clear. It had partisan overtones, but the message is
Michael.
basically nonpartisan.
What?
I think the voters said,
Yo, hello?
stop the taxing,
Yo.
stop the
Bro, I'm
spending,
actually so confused, bro.
stop the man.
Oh, I'll be right back. I have to use the restroom.
There's another house, bro.
Unfunded mandates at a gathering of Texas
You're trolling.
mayors in Dallas. Chris Fox for CBS News, Dallas. Texas's senior senator charts out the path of the nation's 104th Congress. Republican Phil Gramm interpreting what he feels is the cause of recent voter frustration.
I believe the message of this election is very clear. It had partisan overtones, but the message is basically nonpartisan. I think the voters said, stop the taxing, stop the spending, stop the regulating, stop the mandating, and they are going to stop.
Uh-huh.
On federally unfunded mandates at a gathering of Texas mayors in Dallas. Chris Fox for CBS News.
What?
I believe the message of this election is very
Uh-huh. So. Oh! There wasn't any music. Yup, meant to do that. I'm totally meant to do that. Like dog my stick.
Senior senator charts out the path of the nation's 104th Congress.
Shit.
Texas's senior senator charts out the path of the nation's 104th Congress. Texas's senior senator charts out the path of the nation's 104th Congress.
I think the voters said, stop the taxing, stop the spending, stop the regulating, stop the mandate, and I want to tell you, they are going to stop.
Graham taking aim on federally unfunded mandates at a gathering of Texas mayors in Dallas. Chris Fox for CBS News, Dallas.
I believe the message of this election.
Okay, why did I actually get scared then?
Texas's senior senator charts out the path. Texas's senior senator charged out the path.
Mom? 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 Mom, wake up! Mom, please wake up.
The beginning part of this Cobra Kai season finale was short-lived, but that doesn't mean it was without its twists and turns. The series of Cobra Kai over the years has had its fair share of highs and lows, but the beginning of season 6 has already shown that this season will be the ultimate climax of many characters. But I think it's safe to say that one of the most prominent climaxes will involve the Queen Cobra herself. Tori is a character that started off purely evil with little to no sympathy, but over the past 2 or 3 seasons, she's been getting her life together and going through her redemption arc. But unfortunately, all of that redemption and development is about to be thrown away because of the sudden and unfortunate passing of her mother. Now, what they want you to believe is that her mother died from unfortunate, unlucky health problems that they failed to catch. But y'all see how they zoomed into this fist? Yeah, I don't believe that, not one bit. They want you to think that this striking image of her fist was for PTSD purposes only. But anybody who's paying attention will easily conclude that Tori's mom was fighting for her life. That's right. Tori's mom did not die. She was murdered. And the man who I'll be putting in question today is not Kreese. It was Silver. Terry Silver is the real culprit behind the death of Tori's mother. Now, I know that statement may sound a little crazy, but if you take a moment to gaze at the stars, I promise you that they align. The more on-the-nose suspect, which possibly could be the case, would be John Kreese, especially when you look at the timing of it. The moment his old ass snuck back into America in order to recruit Tori back to Cobra Kai is when all of the BS started happening. He could have easily been on his Palpatine shit, manipulating and pulling the strings behind the scenes in order to get what he wants. This seems even more like the case if you take a look at one of the earlier episodes of season 6. Kreese was given a mission by the immortal Snake Man in Korea to go into a cave and retrieve an item from the snake. In this cave, he will be confronted by the ghost and the demons of his past once again, but this time he decides to kill them, shedding his skin and shedding his weakness so he can have absolutely nothing holding him back anymore. Kim Jong-un was essentially trying to tell him that in order to get what you want, you must eliminate what stands in your way. And we know that his unfinished business in America was Tori. So who's to say he didn't apply these lessons to her, eliminating what stands in the way? When you look at all of this, all of the evidence does point in.
Hey, Darman fam.
We're not being treated well. I don't believe Dar is a good guy.
We're not just telling stories.
Elements to running a motion picture company that are not being met.
We're changing lives.
Not a single actor that works at Darman Studios can afford rent.
What happens in the dark doesn't always come to light, because it's been about a year since the actors of Darman Studios protested their low, unlivable wages. And since then, Darman has been like Lindsay Lohan in the beginning of the 2006 film Just My Luck, because nothing but good things has come his way since 2023. He was nominated for a Kids' Choice Award in June, he got a whole new set of actors on his videos, and he just recently signed an advertising partnership with a major media company, Studio 71. Don't clap. Meanwhile, we don't know much about what happened to the actors who were fired for speaking out about the bad working conditions, or others who spent weeks protesting in Burbank. On Darman's end, it's just business as usual, and he got away with everything that he was accused of. Almost no backlash to his channel, no resolution was made with this stuff, and other than the odd tweet of disgust, this entire situation was basically swept under the rug and nobody talks about it. But let's go over everything again. Let's read some of the unheard stories from the previous actors and see what has changed in Darman's universe. Because it's interesting to see how Darman got away with one of the biggest scandals of 2023 with virtually no repercussions. Hello everyone, welcome back to The Asher Show, and if you're new, welcome. Today we're looking at one of the internet's most well-known storytellers, Darman.
Usually, when people hurt us, it says more about them than it says about us. And sometimes something bad happens to us that later on we realize was actually a blessing in disguise.
A person who went from stockbroker who sold medical marijuana in 2010 to being convicted of defrauding the city of Oakland through his real estate company in 2013 to starting one of the most successful YouTube channels in 2018. But back in 2018, Darman's channel wasn't the soap opera we see today. What he used to create was under 5-minute motivational videos that were narrated by him and sometimes with background actors like a silent play.
Which person matters more? The person who seems like fun, or the person who's waiting at home, who's had your back since day one?
And he did this until he found his now popular niche, which is making short, fully acted, inspirational mini films.
I wish I could afford clothes like that.
Kate Spade? I can't be caught wearing Kate Spade. I told you I wanted a Louis Vuitton bag.
In other news, Los Angeles High School.
All right, cut. The word is school. It's not that difficult.
In 2011, he reached 10 million subscribers, and the New York Times called him the moral philosopher of YouTube. It's interesting that this was the public depiction of Darman, because only 2 years later, everybody knew that the moral philosopher of YouTube persona was a ruse.
Darman is being canceled by his actors.
But what absolutely is wrong is what the actors at Darman Studios are dealing with right now.
Recently, the actors in these videos went on strike because they claim that they are not being paid an adequate living wage.
Now he is in a lot of trouble.
Some of the actors who've worked on some of those shows are crying foul.
February 2023, actors start to protest Darman Studios for their unfair wages and mistreatment on sets. One of the actors, Colin, said that he was hired as a contractor and it wasn't sustainable to be working for such low wages.
Not a single actor that works at Darman Studios can afford rent.
Others said if you had a dietary restriction, you wouldn't get fed.
Remember when they wouldn't get me vegan food? Yeah, she would never get fed on set at DAR because they would be like, they send you in the email, it's like, please let us know if you have any dietary restrictions for the shoot. So obviously, if you're vegan or you are gluten-free or something, you let them know. And then it would always be like, they would always just like forget to order her food. So like you'd have like Chipotle and you can have like what, one piece of lettuce? Is that what it was? How hard is it to just like have good craft services?
And that they were never credited in the videos.
By the way, they do not give us credit in the videos because they specifically do not want that to gain followers, which is really cruel because they want to keep this like toxic platform of like, no, we're up here and you're down here.
Another OG actor, Michael Vaccaro, shared his story about the conditions working with Darman to the press. He even accounted for a time in December of 2022 when he was invited to a premiere of a Darman Christmas movie fan event where fans paid $100 a ticket, got to watch the premiere of the movie, and also got to meet their favorite Darman actors like a convention. And he says, I arrived, I realized what was happening. Yes, this was a fan event, which means that the fans were there with us and they wanted pictures. They wanted autographs. They wanted to chat, like an autograph show, like a con, and I wasn't getting paid. Dar was getting paid. All the fans paid him $100 a ticket. At least that's what I was told. But I was not getting paid. Even the crews were fed up with the long working conditions, according to Mayor Mulrooney.
The crews are absolutely fed up with Darman Studios. I mean, most of them, or at least half of them, have been fired as of very recently. They're very unhappy with the work environment. It's more toxic for them even than I think it is for the actors.
Right, because we're there like 5 days for one shoot, then we go off and do another production and forget even it exists.
Right. I think they started shooting videos 5 to 6 days a week and we're like aiming for 7 days a week. So a lot of them at first were very stressed because they would have like maybe 1 day off. They would work like 6 days and then have a day off and go right back into production. So they never had a day to just rest. And whenever they would kind of say, hey, I need to take a day off. It was like, you're punished. It was like, oh, so you can't handle it? Oh, I didn't realize that we hired somebody who couldn't handle.
This was the main focus of the protests. not only to bring awareness to the situation that was happening at Dhar Mann Studios, but also to get the attention of Dhar Mann himself so the actors could meet with him and come to a resolution, and the meeting never took place. These were some of the talking points for the meeting that never happened. If there was a fan event in the future, we'd like to get paid for it. You're making millions of dollars off our videos, and people seem to be watching them because they like us, so we'd like to get residuals or some kind of buyout. When you contact us with a job and ask us to keep 5 days open, we say yes and turn down other work because we've committed it to you. But then, when it turns out that you're only using us for one of those days, we'd like to get paid for those 5 days because I can't afford to lose work. This only seems fair. We'd like a day rate instead of getting paid hourly. If I only have 2 lines in a scene, that means I'm working maybe an hour or 2, which doesn't add up much, especially since I've booked out for 5 days. Let's say I work 2 of those days, 2 hours each day, that's $176 for an entire 5 days. That is unsustainable. And I'd like to be able to read the script before I sign the contract so I know what I'm committing to. So they wanted to get a day rate instead of getting paid hourly? That's a reasonable request, especially if you're part of SAG, the Screen Actors Guild. SAG has guidelines and rates for most actors. SAG rates are minimum amounts of money that the Screen Actors Guilds will allow its members to work for on a given project, offered both on a daily and weekly scale. SAG rates are often determined by the project type, budget constraints, and distribution plan. So they have rates for theatrical agreements, they have rates for low-budget films, they even have rates for short projects. Films made under this pact can be released at film festivals or pre-streaming sites like Vimeo or YouTube. Dhar Mann would fall under the SAG short project agreement. And on here, it would say that the SAG day rate's negotiable, but its preferred minimum is $240 a day. Even on the low end, people that are part of SAG are making $240 to up to $700 a day. That isn't that much for Dhar Mann, but like Colin said, they weren't making a livable wage. But why is that? Dhar Mann is a multi-millionaire, he has many ongoing venue streams, 12 successful YouTube channels, including a Roblox channel and a vlog channel, and this is something that was explored amidst the salary protest drama. Because how can his actors be struggling to pay rent when Dhar Mann bought Khloe Kardashian's 9,000 square foot house for $15.5 million in 2020, and his current net worth is upwards of $30 million. I didn't mention this earlier, but a few years before Dhar Mann started his YouTube channel, he founded a company called Live Glam. It started out as an online makeup tutorial in collaboration with beauty influencers, but then turned into beauty and makeup subscription box-based cosmetic company.
Hey, I'm Dhar.
And I'm Laura.
And in addition to being in a relationship, we're also the founders of Live Glam. Now, the first question I always get is how in the world does this guy who has never contoured in his life create a cosmetics brand?
And the second question we always get asked is, why the name Live Glam?
Company was already worth $20 million by 2018, and he owns 100% of the equity in the company.
What about the equity split? How did you guys figure out who owned what in the brand?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually worked out a deal where it was more so a commission basis. So I owned 100% of the company. So I partnered with her on a commission basis, and there was no actual equity deal.
And that was before he even started making YouTube content. So the idea that his longtime workers couldn't make a livable salary is bizarre. And what is even more bizarre is how he handled it afterwards. He was reposting stories of people that were defending him. He made an Instagram post with a picture of all the actors that didn't quit and made a statement saying that him showing up to the meeting wasn't communicated with him, and that the claim that the actors weren't being paid also isn't true, which wasn't a talking point. They just said they weren't being compensated fairly. Then he called everything misinformation. This didn't sit well with people because even as recently as a few months ago, people still bring it up online. I think Dhar didn't handle the protest well last year. Those guys left because they had an issue, and knowing what he does for a living, I would have to expect he tried to resolve the situation as quickly as possible, but he let everything escalate and even went and did a video showcasing himself and the people who were still with him. Like, really? I'm not here to start a fight, but I think he could have resolved it. Letting them go didn't affect him, but didn't change the fact that people were going to start seeing him differently from then on. After Dhar Mann made his Instagram post, he never spoke about it again. There was a small dip in viewership initially, and even now his views don't get to the tens of millions like they used to, but he's still doing very well. He hired some new faces onto the acting team, he started a new series project called Jay's World, and a few months later, he was even celebrating reaching 20 million subs. In June, he got nominated for a Kids' Choice Award.
Darman was nominated for a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award, so we're giving away MacBooks every weekday to say thanks for voting.
Wait a second, this guy's giving away MacBooks? Trying to fudge the system here? Even though he tried to buy his victory votes, he ultimately lost to Mr. Beast. And just last month, he made a deal with Studio 71. For those of you who don't know, Studio 71 is a media company that specializes in working with creators to create, distribute cross-platform original content. They make short-form videos for Facebook, Snapchat, and Amazon, and long-form videos for Hulu, HBO Max, and A&E. Wait, is that Cody Co? But they also help creators partner with brands, and this is what the CEO said. Dar has built an impressive content operation with polished scripted videos that rival the quality of top television broadcasters. You could not be more excited to introduce advertisers to Dar's brand-safe content and his incredible fan base, which is amongst the largest and most engaged of any digital following. So Darman is going to be partnering with advertisers to be making potentially millions and millions of dollars more each and every year. That's great. And while this is happening at Darman Studios, how are the people that were fired after working paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet under Darman's name? Well, I think I can help fill in that information because just last August, I got an email from one of the actors with a link to a new project. So a few of the ex-actors started a channel that has 100K subs now, where they posted short stories, but their last upload was around 7 months ago. Sarah wasn't in many Darman videos, but she was a part of the protest efforts. Now she does a lot of modeling, acting work on the side, and apparently works for Shein? Michael has been actively working on short films such as Dear Husband, Delete My Number, Duke with Benefits, Look What You Made Me Do. Colin just wrapped up production on a horror film, and Mayor Mulrooney has been actively acting in some independent films, one which was a horror film that was funded by Indiegogo, and other short film projects like this Star Wars story.
Do I know you?
No. But I'm very familiar with who you are.
I'll bet.
Not to mention, a few of the actors have been making videos with one of the Darman knockoff channels, Totally Studios.
There's an Amazon package across the street.
Oh, that must be Mr. Williams. He's probably out of town on another business trip.
What are you doing here? I'm just doing my job?
Where's my jewelry? I don't know. Where'd you put it?
Right here.
Well, I guess someone took it then.
What are you doing here?
I'm having lunch.
This is a dumpster, not a buffet.
Then why are you throwing away perfectly good food?
Wow, I forgot how bad Totally Studios is. I could be wrong. Let's watch one more.
Hey, babe. We'll be alone soon. The old lady's about to leave.
Who's babe?
Way better than Darman, even if it does look like it's being dubbed. Now that we know the issue with Darman Studios, how it was handled, and the after effect of everything that happened, we can see that there weren't really any long-term consequences. There was an initial employee turnover with the crew and actors, but the actors were contract workers and replaced. The brand's reputation took a little bit of a hit, but after a few months, nobody seemed to remember. And the partnership with Studio 71 just further proves that the long-term damage to Darman's brand was minimal. Not the outcome we could have hoped for everybody, but it seems like people online have a very short attention span. And since I have no more information on this topic, I'm just gonna spend the rest of this time watching some of Darman Studios' Roblox videos. Because why does he have a Roblox channel? If you want to see that, I'm gonna post it on my second channel, Asher Extra. Link will be below. Thank you everyone for
So because it's so late, I had to turn on my mic, so I don't know if it sounds...
Okay. I'm gonna land right here. I'm gonna land with the yellow.
I mean, I think game's genetics. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you're talented.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, teach me that aim can't be taught.
This is it. This is.
Get your little predictions ready, all you losers about to bet some channel points. Here we go.
Let's talk about something wholesome today. My eye has been twitching nonstop, researching the degenerates of the internet. And I want to talk about somebody who's come a very long way from getting their debit card declined at the dollar store to being one of the biggest streamers on the planet. No pun intended. Queso.
You're banned out of stream for the rest of your life. Yep, you're banned. Have a good night. And this dude's banned out of the Discord. Yeah, that mod's gone, buddy. You're out of there.
How did a low-income Twitch streamer from a tiny town in Arkansas skyrocket to 800,000 Twitch followers and 2 million TikTok fans? I honestly didn't know until recently about Queso and his hilarious reactions.
Oh yeah, you're done, buddy. Yeah, you're banned. Matter of fact, we're gonna get you banned off the internet too.
But why did he start streaming in the first place? What challenges did he overcome? And how did he get his big break?
Favorite part about being a streamer is having the ability to do what I always wanted to do every single day.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ash Show, a show where every once in a while I like to talk about something that isn't rage baiting or drama. And today we're looking into the rise of Case Baker. You have probably seen some of these viral Queso clips online.
Chat, would you eat me if given the chance? Be honest. I couldn't even start. There's too many calories. It would take 11 months. Queso would be enough food for a year. Your weight would feed a full bloodline for 20 years. 50,000 calories. Bro is the Grim Eater.
But Case, better known as Queso, was born on May 9th, 1998 in a tiny town in Dallas County, Arkansas, and he had quite the journey. Growing up in a Christian household with his brother, his childhood was a mix of basketball, video games, and love for food. By age 14, Case spent his free time diving into NBA 2K and Call of Duty. His passion for gaming was clear early on, but it wasn't until 2012 that he mustered the courage to start creating content himself, even though the internet in his town was awful.
My internet's so dookie, bro.
At the time, he was working with his dad as a maintenance man, mowing grass, a job he despised. And the idea of grinding a 9-to-5 for the rest of his life was unbearable. He even considered joining the military to escape it.
What was like your reason as to why you wanted to start streaming?
Well, being absolutely miserable at work, of course, wanting to. Obviously, that's a huge reason behind it, but since I was, 13, watching, Optic and Nade Shot and all that, it really dude, I see people doing it in front of me and be like, this is possible. Now I just want to do that. You know what I mean? So
a week before he started streaming, Case went to the dollar store and was embarrassed when his debit card got declined.
I own everything I love. I went to the dollar store, the Family Dollar. I bought 2 bowls of noodles and a can of Pringles. Tried to swipe the card, it got declined. I just ran out the store on them, bro.
Oh my
I didn't steal it, but I just ran up at it because I was embarrassed,
A low-income redhead kid from Arkansas living paycheck to paycheck, he was fed up and ready for a change. One day during a car ride, his mom gave him solid advice to try out that live streaming thing he'd been talking about for years. He had the equipment, bought it 6 or 7 years ago.
I made it a goal of mine my whole teenage years, tried to upload videos, didn't work out.
But it had just been gathering dust. He created a Twitch channel called Queso Games, and on September 10th, he went live for the first time, face cam on, streaming NBA 2K23. He started by packaging the best moments from his live streams, posting them on his Twitch account. His goal? Upload 5 to 10 clips from each session. This would feed the app's algorithm, boosting his chances of attracting an audience. And luck was on his side because one day after releasing 3 TikToks, he woke up to 10,000 followers. Just like that, he knew he was onto something.
The day I started streaming, it was September 11th of 2022. It was 2 days after I uploaded my first TikTok. Because I was recording myself playing 2K, trying to have some funny videos or something.
Yeah.
And I uploaded 3 TikToks that night when I went to sleep of me playing 2K. 2K23 when it first dropped, because I knew it was hot, you know what I mean, because it first dropped. 2K when it drops is always hot. Dropped 3 TikToks that first night, woke up the next day with 15,000 followers. I was like, bro, wait a minute, you know what I mean?
From then on, he streamed whenever possible, usually streaming for 5 to 7 hours. Only thing holding him back was his job and his garbage internet in his town. His new fans kept begging him for more streams, but the low bandwidth was so awful. So what was his fix? Getting a hotspot to keep his streams running. Case's consistency actually paid off, and he quickly built a tight-knit community. By the end of September, he was pulling in an average of 1,000 live viewers. His TikTok exploded past 100,000 followers, and his YouTube was a hit, gaining 10K by October 3rd, and his Twitch channel soared to 30K followers by the 5th. The internet couldn't get enough of his hilarious, often frustrated reactions during matches. He was a natural entertainer with zero filter. He knew exactly what moments would get clipped and shared. Queso was extremely funny, and his humor was his secret weapon. His frequent jokes and unfiltered comments created a fun, unique vibe which his fans loved. He also built a successful Discord server that became a hub for his growing community. They'd watch him play basically anything, and they even got to vote on what he played next. Queso even made it a point to review his fans' creations, memes, video edits, and they were almost always outrageous and always at his expense.
If you think I am anywhere near this big, you are delusional. This is the biggest human on the earth. Oh man, it gets worse every picture. It is getting worse every single picture.
On November 9th, 2022, Case got his first golden ticket, an invite to the Twitch Partner Program after surpassing 5,000 paid subs. Financially, things were looking up, so he made his bold move to quit his regular job and dive into something full-time. This was pretty unusual in his tiny community, and explaining this decision to his old boss was no walk in the park. For clarity, he even turned to his dad for advice. And believe it or not many folks in Case's hometown knew about his Twitch career. They have no idea that streaming could even be a real job. And to those who found out, he emphasized the importance of keeping their town's name under wraps. He feared that he might have to move if his location ever got out. And by February, Case felt the urge to try something new. The NBA 2K buzz was fading, and he knew it was time to diversify. He then decided to get into Hogwarts Legacy.
You know, I seen the numbers when I very first started. You know, the hype was there because I first blew up. So I seen that it was not building whatsoever. And I also seen Hogwarts Legacy on the horizon. I was like, if I can have another viral TikTok of me playing Hogwarts Legacy, I can get out of 2K and be known for another game. And then from that point, go to Variety, which thankfully it happened. That's why Hogwarts Legacy will always have like a special place.
Yeah.
Because Hogwarts Legacy is what got me out of there. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the reason I got out of it, because it wasn't going nowhere.
Case started sharing his gameplay on TikTok, and the video skyrocketed to 8 million views. This viral moment catapulted him to 500,000 TikTok followers by February 21st, 2023. The newfound fame boosted his confidence. He worried that playing just one game for so long might hurt his view count if he switched things up, but he took the risk and it worked out for the better.
It's not sustainable, you know. Maybe it is, like, barely sustainable, but I knew it's like if I ever wanted to get bigger, which I did, not physically bigger, but if I ever wanted to get like bigger, you know, like viewer count, I knew that I was like, okay, I gotta, you know.
Yeah. His audience grew even larger. His viewers weren't just there for the game. They were there for him. His personality was the real draw. It didn't matter if he was a pro gamer or not. What mattered was he made the experience fun and engaging. Case then decided to try simcasting. Simcasting being streaming on multiple platforms at the same time, like Twitch and TikTok. This was another good move because it increased his reach and viewership, with TikTok viewers eventually migrating to Twitch. And with the increased viewership, he began to try his hand in being more of a variety game streamer, playing games like The Walking Dead, Roblox, Baldi's Basics, Five Nights at Freddy's, Fall Guys, Amnesia, and Only Up. But some of the funniest interactions were when his fans would message him while he was playing on PlayStation.
Yo, what that dude just said? Yeah. Get this guy out of here!
His fan base is out of control, but these interactions helped him hit 1 million TikTok followers by June 16th, 2023. He often comically threatens his audience with lines like, "You're banned," or "I'm shutting the stream off."
You look like Ralph from Happy Days. Why did my dad just say that? Why did my actual dad just say that? What? All right, ban my dad. Get him out of here! Yeah, you're done, Dad. You're done! Anyways, you're built like a servitor from Destiny 2. Is this gonna be bad? It's just a circle.
But he doesn't mind because he's connecting with his community. This is something that makes Queso a great streamer, his connection to his fans. Curious about his fans, he started checking out their gaming setups and fridges.
Bro's the pepperoni paparazzi! Look how disgusting your fridge is! Look at your floor! Ah!
They also send him cringeworthy TikToks for a good laugh. Then come the meme edits, and with Case often being the punchline.
And this dude's banned out of the Discord. I love you, Case, but you're built like Mr. Smee.
He knows it's all in good fun and doesn't take anything personally. He's got a knack for rolling with the jokes, even when they poke fun at his weight or just his simple setup. His fans have even created fake news stories with elaborate lore.
Breaking news. The viral Twitch streamer Case O, who gained popularity by throwing it back on his live streams.
Case knows how to take a joke, and that's part of what makes him endearing to his audience. His chat loves to roast him. They complain that his streams make their monitors lean from his sheer presence.
Bro was making my monitor lean. How dare you tell me what to do? How dare you tell me?
Once he tried to jump, and a viewer joked that his house fell over.
Hold on.
What's 2,811 shit?
Chad, who had a higher lead? Everyone said
What is it brace for? What do you mean earthquake? Australia's underwater. Buddy, you're a mod!
The teasing never stops, and sometimes he sets himself up for it. His chat is constantly filled with comments comparing him to various large objects.
Hey, Case, love the streams, but you're built like Gamatatasu. Who? Yep, that's a turbo ban if I've ever seen one. Thank you for the $10. You look like Thurman Merman. Yo, Patel, you were supposed to be banned months ago. How are you still in the chat?
To be honest, I only found out about Queso because of these roasts and the animation that came.
Pork Floyd? Oh, yep, you're banned. Who said Snack Harlow? Get that guy out of here. Ace Venturo? Okay, banned.
With 800,000 Twitch followers, 3.35 million YouTube subscribers, and 2 million TikTok followers, he's now far from a low-income streamer.
Like in my mind, I still don't have the thought of like, I still made it. Yeah, because in my mind, I feel like if I have that thought and tell myself that I made it, you don't want to get like lazy. It's gonna go downhill. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Queso seems like a very down-to-earth individual who's come a very long way.
You literally right now, you'd be like in the army if like your TikToks didn't blow up.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, life is insane, man.
Yeah, literally, it's crazy how much different like one little thing can change.
And as far as his reputation in the online space, he is beloved by all.
The streamer Queso has blown up this year and is now one of the biggest streamers in the world.
What do you mean earthquake?
I'm telling you, this is one of the funniest streamers, if not the funniest streamer out there right now.
But before we end, let's look at some of the clips that made Queso famous.
Bro's built like a 1x1 Lego piece. What even is a 1x1 Lego piece? Yep, you're banned. Have a good night. Do you weigh? I weighed in this morning at 119. What you laughing at? Why does every boat I get on start sinking? What do you mean Case visiting the pyramids, bro? What you mean? Case's high school yearbook photo. Wow, thanks. Chat, look how skinny I am. What you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
Huh?
No, you're skinny, bro.
Yeah.
You're easily 120.
Yeah. Girl with the $5, you look like Butter Pants from Shrek. This is the Do the War kid! You're banned. Get out! Where is he?
But thank you everyone for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave me a comment down below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll be back very soon with something brand new.
Kilograms or pounds?
What?
Come on.
He's like, you want him up?
Come on, Chart, let's go.
There is really only one way somebody can go from this.
Thank you guys so much for 400 subscribers. It really means a lot that you guys are watching my videos and liking them.
To this.
What? Little bro, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, bro? Yeah.
And that would be clout. That is the only thing that would have this jelly from YouTube looking ass dude feeling tough enough to walk around getting in people's faces like that. In my last video, we talked about Neon, and Neon and Jack are basically the same type of streamers. They're both IRL streamers.
Get your little predictions ready, all you
So this redneck dude is somehow able to pull off one of the biggest money heists in American history. And he becomes rich as f***. Now the guy, his name's David. And he works at Loomis Fargo as a vault supervisor. And he handles massive amounts of money all day. But despite that, he doesn't get paid very much. But that's about to change. Because one day, David meets this woman at work. Her name's Kelly. And David thinks Kelly is fine. And they hit it off and they start flirting, and soon enough, they start smashing. Now, at some point during this period, David hears about an armored truck robbery that had happened a few months before, several states away. A Loomis Fargo employee had robbed Loomis for like millions of dollars. And at this point in the story, that robber hadn't been caught yet. I actually talked about that heist in a different video I did. Anyway, so David and Kelly, they hear about this heist, and they're like, well, that guy took millions of dollars and he didn't get caught. Maybe we could also rob Loomis Fargo and take millions of dollars and not get caught. What could possibly go wrong? Now, Kelly, she knows just the guy who could help them pull off this heist. Her friend back from high school, who's a bit shady. This guy. Chambers. So the three of them put their heads together and they start planning this big Loomis Fargo heist. And there are other people on the sidelines involved in this heist too, but for now, let's just focus on these three main characters. So a few months go by and they've got it all meticulously planned out. And then the big night finally rolls around. It's time to pull off the heist. And David, he's actually working that evening. And when his shift ends, he leaves with the other employees working. But he doesn't actually leave. Instead, he circles back and sneaks back into the building. Then he goes straight to the vault and starts taking money out of it and loading it into a Loomis van. And over an hour and a half later, he's done. And he's loaded about $17 million in cash into that van. Now, David knows there are security cameras all around this building. So before he leaves, he goes back to the manager's office and he steals 2 surveillance tapes that would have footage of him on them. Next, he drives the Loomis van full of 2,700 pounds of cash. He drives it over to a parking lot in another part of town where Chambers and Kelly are waiting in a different van. So then they transfer this money to the new van. And this new van is a rental van. But here's the thing about this rental van. It's a little small. So they're transferring all this money into the rental van, but not all of it'll fit. So they end up leaving $3.3 million behind in the Loomis van because it all won't fit in the rental van. Oh, but that's not the only thing they leave in that Loomis van, because David forgets those 2 surveillance videos that he had taken from the manager's office. And so from there, they all end up going their separate ways. Kelly ultimately ends up going back home. Chambers also ends up going back to his home. And David hops on a flight to head over to Cozumel in Mexico so he can lay low for a while. But unfortunately for him, when traveling internationally, you're actually limited to how much money you can bring with you. So poor David is only allowed to bring $50,000 with him. Meanwhile, David's wife, because I guess he's married and didn't tell his wife about any of this, his wife reports him missing. And once police find the Loomis van with the leftover $3.3 million in cash in it, they also find the security tapes he accidentally left behind. So now they have their first suspect, David. And since this is such a huge heist, the FBI is now involved. But even they have no clue where David is. And his face is broadcast all over the place as the FBI tries to find him. And while David is off in Mexico trying to lay low, Chambers, not so much. So Chambers and his wife, they take all this new money he just got and they start spending it. And in less than a month, they move out of their trailer home and into a 7,000 square foot gated community mansion, which they paid for in cash. They also buy TVs, a diamond ring, a Rolex, new cars. Chambers' wife even gets a nose job and a brand new set of tits. And at one point, Chambers' wife even goes into a bank with 200 grand in a briefcase. And she asks the bank teller,
"Hey, what's the most I can deposit without you guys having to report me to the feds?"
And then she says,
"Don't worry, it's not drug money."
So yeah, not surprising that people start noticing this behavior, and pretty quickly people report Chambers and his wife to the FBI. While Kelly, she's a bit more conservative with her spending. She buys herself a minivan, she buys her kids a bunch of toys, nothing too big. But once the FBI learns rumors that she had previously been smashing with David, suddenly she becomes a suspect. So the FBI, they get together and they decide the best way to bring these guys down is to wiretap Chambers' phone calls. Because of the three of them, he's obviously the loose cannon. Meanwhile, during all this, David, he's still chilling in Mexico, and he's keeping a low profile. But he realizes this 50 grand that he brought with him, it isn't gonna last too long. So he ends up calling Chambers, and he's like,
"Hey, can you send me some of my share of the money so that I don't run out?"
And Chambers is like, "Sure, buddy." But sending David money is not what Chambers does. Instead of sending him money, he decides to hire a hitman. And he's gonna send that hitman to Mexico to unalive David. That way, Chambers gets to keep David's share of the money, and if David is unalived, he can never snitch on them. So at this point, I know you're probably thinking, Ray, how the hell did David get himself into this mess? How did an otherwise nice guy with a clean record suddenly wake up one day and decide that he's gonna steal millions of dollars from his own employer? Like, what makes someone snap like that? Well, think about it this way. He goes to work every day at Loomis, and he oversees the vault, which means he loads millions of dollars in and out of that vault. I mean, he is surrounded by money. Like, it's just staring at him in the face. Yet, in his personal life, he can barely pay his bills. He's working sometimes 70, 80 hours a week for $8.15 an hour. Imagine that. Imagine you're broke, struggling to get by, and you have to stare at stacks and stacks of cash all day. Like, how would you feel? So after years of being in this situation, he started to resent his life and he started to resent his marriage until he started working with Kelly. And he really started crushing on her. Like, he's liked her forever. Like, they used to go to school together. And Kelly, she was really pushing him to do this heist with her. So he does it, thinking it'll impress her. So basically, he did all this because he was broke and he was trying to clap cheeks. And because of that, there is now a hitman after him, trying to unalive him. But luckily for him, when Chambers calls the hitman and tells him exactly where to find David, the FBI has his phones tapped, and they're listening in. And now they know exactly where to find David. So the feds go straight to Mexico, and they catch David, and boom, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. Then, the next day, they go and arrest Chambers. Here's his mugshot. Then they arrest Chambers' wife. Here's her mugshot. And of course, they arrest Kelly. Here's her mugshot. In fact, they arrest a bunch of people involved in this. In total, about 20 people were arrested in connection with this heist. But David gets sentenced to a little over 7 years in prison, and Chambers, he's sentenced to 11 years in prison, while his wife gets 7 years in prison, and Kelly gets 6 years in prison. And they all have to pay back the money they stole. But allegedly, to this day, $2 million of that heist money is still missing. Like, they never found it, so I guess it's still out there. So this teenage kid, he commits so many crimes that he's about to run from police for years, steal a plane, and escape to another country. Now his name's Colton, and he's only 12, and his life sucks. He lives in a small trailer in the woods on a little island off the coast of Washington. And his mom is an addict, and so he mostly has to take care of himself. So he spends most his days in the woods, alone, reading about airplanes, cause one day he wants to be a pilot. Now eventually he starts breaking into neighboring houses, stealing things, mostly food, but over time he starts stealing other things, a laptop and credit cards. And interestingly, he often doesn't wear shoes for some reason. Like, he does most of this barefoot. And so this barefoot kid is always in and out of trouble. And one day he doesn't show up for a mandatory court date, and bam, the police start looking for him. And Colton learns they're looking for him, and so he hides out in the woods for like 6 months. He finds vacation homes and he breaks into those and he sleeps there, or he'll steal food and camping supplies and he'll sleep out in the forest. But then eventually, boom, police catch him. And they convict him, and he's sentenced to 3 years in juvenile detention. And of course, Colton hates being locked up. He can't ever be a pilot while he's in detention. So, a little over a year later, he sneaks out an unlocked window, and he escapes. So now he's on the run again, and he goes back to the area where he used to live, and he starts sleeping in the woods and breaking into vacation homes again. So he's constantly on the move, and stealing things like food and supplies and cars. And this goes on for months, before finally police close in on him. One day he's driving a Mercedes he had stolen, and they spot him because he's driving like an asshole, and they go to pull him over in a parking lot, and he jumps out of the car while it's still moving, and he takes off and runs into the woods. And so police search the car, and they find a backpack he had stolen, and a digital camera he had stolen, and on that camera they find this selfie he took. Then Colton steals a boat, and he drives it from his island to a different island. And on the new island, he breaks into all kinds of homes and businesses again, and he steals a bunch more shit. So this guy's been in and out of trouble for years at this point. He's like 16 or 17 years old at this time. And if you're like, Ray, how could a teenager cause this much chaos? Like, wouldn't he want friends or like a girlfriend? What exactly is Colton getting out of all of this? Well, let me just say that this kid never had a chance at a normal life. Starting from when he was a little kid, his upbringing messed him up. And I'm not trying to invoke sympathy for him. I'm just saying that the home life he grew up in, the environment he grew up in, was an absolute disaster. When he was a toddler, his dad was a drug addict, so he was raised mostly by his mom, who was apparently a raging alcoholic and was extremely neglectful to him. His neighbors later said they called Child Protective Services more than once because they believed that he was being abused or neglected. Child Protective Services actually showed up to his place 12 different times. One of those times, they actually even removed him from the home for a period of time. So yeah, all of this set his life up for an eventual disaster. That's why he was living in the woods and running around barefoot for so long as a kid. I mean, what else was he supposed to do? Anyway, so Colton is still out there, and he's still on the run from police. And by now, his story is starting to catch on in the media. I mean, this teenage burglar who police can't seem to catch. And he's starting to get a little reputation. But Colton, he isn't too worried about that. He's way too preoccupied with his lifelong dream of becoming a pilot. And during this time, he decides he's gonna make that happen. So he goes and he breaks into a small airplane hangar, and he steals a single propeller plane, and he manages to get it running, and he actually gets it in the air. Now, he has no formal flight training, only reading piloting manuals and watching instructional videos on his computer that he had stolen, but he somehow managed to get this plane flying, and he keeps it in the air for 3.5 hours before he finally crashes it on a Native American reservation in mainland Washington. About a year later, he steals another plane, but this one he only flies it about 10 miles before he lands it correctly this time. No crashes. 2 weeks later, he breaks into another hangar and steals a third plane in Idaho, and he flies it 250 miles back to Washington, and this one he crash lands in a field. Meanwhile, the legend of Colton and his crimes are growing. I mean, he's 17 now, and he's been on the run from police for like years. And he's stealing boats and planes, and they just can't seem to catch him. So he's starting to get fans online. And because he often doesn't wear shoes, they call him the Barefoot Bandit. Someone even starts a Facebook fan page for him, and that fan page gets over 100,000 followers. While one company starts making t-shirts with Colton's face on them. People are even writing songs about him and putting them on YouTube.
Railway, I'm no shoe. Got a barefoot bandit.
I mean, dude is blowing up. And of course, all this sudden attention, it starts to put a lot of heat on him. And by now, the FBI is involved in this manhunt, looking for him. But Colton, he's like, whatever. He's still out there robbing houses and stealing cars. And so another year passes. And he decides, okay, there's too much heat on me. It's time to steal another plane and get the hell out of the country. But first, he has to find the right plane. So he jacks a boat and he drives it to mainland Oregon. And from there, he goes to a small airport and he doesn't find the plane he wants. So then he just steals a car. car. And from there, he goes to 2 more airports, and he still doesn't find the right plane. Then he tries an airport in South Dakota, and nope, still doesn't find the right plane. Then he just keeps on stealing car after car, hopping from state to state, breaking into airport after airport, looking for the right one that has the plane he wants. And after driving over 2,000 miles through 9 different states and almost a dozen stolen cars, Colton hits up a small airport in Indiana, and he finally finds the plane he's looking for, the Cessna 400. And bam, he straight up jacks it, and he takes off, and he's in the air, and he flies 11 hours, over 1,200 miles, from Indiana to Great Abaco Island in the Bahamas. And once he's there, he kind of crash lands in shallow waters near the shore. That crash landing triggers the plane's emergency locator beacon, which is how the FBI ultimately learns that Colton is now in the Bahamas. But Colton has no idea, because within hours, he's breaking into local houses and businesses again, and stealing cash and food and all kinds of stuff. Then he steals another boat, and he flees to the nearby island of Eureka, where he hopes to blend in with the constant crowd of tourists there. But unfortunately for Colton, he can't blend into the crowd. He's just too famous now. And within a few days, locals start to recognize him as the Barefoot Bandit, and they tip off local police. So pretty quickly, Colton finds himself in yet another stolen boat, speeding away as Bahamian police chase him in like a Miami Vice type boat chase. And as he's hauling ass and getting away, kaboom! He high centers his boat on a sandbar. He is stuck. And as he's trying to unstick his ride, of course, police roll right up on him. And they open fire on his boat, taking out his engine. And there is where Colton, the Barefoot Bandit, finally surrenders. So then, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And Colton gets charged with all kinds of stuff, and ultimately he gets sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Oh, but here's the best part. Apparently Colton's story is so interesting, he's able to sell the movie rights to his life to 20th Century Fox for a whopping $1.3 million. But unfortunately, as part of the punishment for all his crimes, the court ordered that he's not allowed to profit from his story. So he doesn't get to keep any of that money. All of it has to go to pay back his victims, the people he stole from. And apparently he's out of prison now, he served his time, and he just works a regular job. So good for him. So this guy, let's call him Eggplant, because that's what everyone calls him. And Eggplant is just a dude living in Tokyo, and he really wants to be a famous comedian. And one day, he tries out for a TV show. It's sort of a game show. But they're a little vague about what this show is gonna be. Regardless, this is a big opportunity for Eggplant. This could launch his career. So he shows up to the casting office, and they select him. And the producer, let's call him Tosh. Tosh blindfolds him and takes him to a little studio apartment in Tokyo. And once they're there, Tosh finally explains to him the TV show they're about to be filming. They want Eggplant to strip down naked and live in a studio apartment with no food, no clothes, no contact with the outside world. He's not allowed to leave. The only thing he's allowed to survive off of are the items he wins from mailing in magazine sweepstakes. And he has to do this challenge until he's won over 1 million yen worth of prizes from all the mail-in sweepstakes, which is around 8,000 US dollars. And once he does that, the game will be over. So Eggplant agrees to do it, and bam, he starts his challenge. And suddenly he's just there, butt naked, alone, filling out as many mail-in sweepstakes as he can, up to 200 to 300 a day. And like first, he's hoping he can win some food, because they gave him nothing, only water. Now here's where the whole thing starts to get a little shady. Eggplant knows he's being filmed. He knows this is for a TV show. But Tosh tells him that little to none of this footage will ever make it to air, and that the show itself probably won't make it to air. But that is a lie. That footage immediately goes to air. It's part of a variety show. Once a week, producers take the footage and they cut it up, and every Sunday night they air a compilation of Eggplant's weirdest and craziest and funniest moments. And Eggplant in that apartment has no idea any of this is going on. Millions of people watch this show every week, and they watch Eggplant just living in this apartment, alone, butt naked, and people freaking love it. They think Eggplant is so funny and quirky. Meanwhile, in reality, Eggplant's actually having a really hard time. He's completely completely isolated from anyone, he doesn't have any clothes, and to make it worse, he's starving because magazine winnings take a while to come in because they have to come in through the mail. So producers, they end up giving him a small amount of crackers so that he doesn't literally die. And then about 2 weeks go by and bam, he wins something that feels life-changing to him. A bunch of packs of fiber jelly, which is like a sugary drink. And so he lives off that for a while. Then, a week after that, thank goodness, he wins an 11-pound bag of rice, which, hallelujah, is his first real food. But, sadly, he has no way to cook it. He would have to win pots and pans for that. So he has to eat the rice raw for a while. Then, about 2 months in, he wins his first article of clothing. Used women's panties. Because I guess in Japan, you can just win used women's panties through magazine sweepstakes. Regardless, that all fails, because he tries them on and the panties ultimately don't fit him. Then, around the same time, he wins a stuffed animal, a seal. And he hasn't held a conversation with a single human being in months. So this stuffed seal becomes his best friend. And he straight up hangs out with it and has conversations with it, like it's Wilson the volleyball. Then, 3 months in, he wins a toothbrush. So this poor guy finally gets to brush his teeth for the first time since he started this challenge. He's gone 3 months without brushing his teeth. But then his freaking rice runs out. And so he's got nothing to eat until he wins a bunch of dog food. So not only does he have to start eating dog food, but that becomes his primary food source for months. So now we're 6 months into this. And at this point, Eggplant has submitted over 38,000 magazine sweepstakes. And he's won a bunch of random stuff. A bicycle, a chair, a VHS player, a PlayStation game that he can't play because he doesn't have a PlayStation. But on the outside world, his segment in that variety show, it's still airing every week. And it has become massively popular over the last few months. And it's now getting around 15 million views an episode every week. In fact, the show has become so popular in Japan, fans have figured out where Eggplant's studio apartment is. And the fans and the media and the paparazzi, they're all constantly showing up outside the apartment because they're looking for him. And Eggplant has no idea any of this is going on because he can't see out. He doesn't have a window. He still doesn't even know the show is on the air. That's how in the dark he is. And Tosh and the other producers, they start to get worried. They're worried that Eggplant will see all this attention outside the apartment and that he'll figure out that he's being broadcast on TV every week. So they give him some bullshit excuse and they blindfold him and they relocate him to a new studio apartment about 5 hours away. And while they're at this new studio apartment, the producers decide that this show is so popular, they're gonna start live streaming the footage 24/7 so that anyone can tune in at any time of the day and see what Eggplant is doing. And so more months go by, and the show becomes even more popular, and millions more people are tuning in every Sunday to watch the weekly episode. And Eggplant still has no idea any of this is going on. He's just constantly filling out sweepstakes all day, every day. And then, one day, finally, after 335 days in captivity, kaboom, he wins a small bag of rice. And that bag of rice puts him over the 1 million yen mark. And Eggplant has officially won the challenge. Until... After winning, Eggplant is suddenly woken up surrounded by a camera crew and they're congratulating him. And producers give him back his clothes and they blindfold him and they take him to a new surprise location. They actually take him out of Japan where he's super famous and they take him to South Korea where no one would recognize him. And they let him visit an amusement park for the day and they take him out for Korean barbecue, his favorite food. And Eggplant has a great time. And he still has no idea that he's now a celebrity in Japan. Then Tosh and the producers, they blindfold him and they take him to a new studio apartment. And there, they coerce him to take off his clothes and do yet another challenge. Because this show is straight up a hit. And Tosh and the other producers, they want to keep it going. And poor Eggplant, he really wants to launch his career. So he reluctantly agrees. And this time, he has to mail in magazine sweepstakes until he wins the value of a flight back to Japan. So Eggplant's like, fine, if this is my ticket into show business. But this time, it's different. By now, he's so good at mail-in sweepstakes that he just aces this challenge. After a few months, he wins enough prizes to meet his goal easily. So then finally, after all this time, they clothe him, they blindfold him, and they take him back to Japan. But instead of taking him home, they take him to yet another studio apartment. And poor Eggplant, he's like, damn it, another challenge. And he instinctively takes all his clothes off and gets naked. But then, suddenly, out of nowhere, boom, the walls of the apartment start to fall away. And strangely, he's standing in a TV studio in front of a full live studio audience. And they're all applauding for him. The producers had tricked him yet again. And poor Eggplant, he's like, what the f***? Because again, he didn't even know this show had aired. He still thought that they weren't even gonna use much of his footage. And on top of that, not only is he super famous in Japan now, his show broke numerous broadcast records. There were over 17 million people tuned in to watch his show every Sunday night. Now, as interesting as that is, all of this definitely traumatized him, and there were plenty of negative psychological side effects. But this bit of fame does eventually help him break into the entertainment industry a little bit. He goes on to do some variety shows, he becomes a dramatic stage actor and performs all across Japan, he gets a role in a live-action anime type drama. So after all that torture, he ended up with a pretty good career. So, shout out to him. So this relatively unknown actor is rich now. He just took in over $690 million, and he did it basically by just using his charming personality. So how did he get so rich? Now the guy's name is Zach, and Zach's an aspiring actor, and he really wants to be famous. But unfortunately for him, he's not. But he will be. But for now, he's just a guy who runs a juice bar in Chicago. But then one day, he writes a billionaire asking him to invest in his juice bar. That billionaire is Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. So Zach writes Howard asking him to invest, thinking, I don't know, it's worth a shot. But then, surprisingly, Howard Schultz writes him back. And he says that he's really impressed with the business plan that Zach pitched him, but that he doesn't want to invest in the juice bar. However, he does want to invest in Zach. He wants him to come work for him at his venture capital firm in Los Angeles. So then Zach goes to his girlfriend, this woman, Mallory, and he shows her this email from Howard. And they're all excited, and just like that, boom, they move to Los Angeles so he can take this new job waiting for him at this venture capital firm. Here's the messed up thing though. There is no new job waiting for him at this venture capital firm. Zach never got a job offer from billionaire Howard Schultz because Howard Schultz never wrote him back. Zach made all of that up. He faked the email and everything. And he tells this big lie so that he can convince Mallory to drop everything and move to Los Angeles with him. Because remember, deep down, he's an aspiring actor who really wants to be famous. Why he doesn't just tell his girlfriend that, I don't know. So anyway, pow, they're now in LA. And Zach has got to keep this lie going. So several times a week, he'll leave his apartment for hours at a time. And he tells Mallory, oh, I'm off to work, I've got an important meeting. But he's really going over to this acting school to secretly take acting classes. And he's going on auditions, and he's putting himself on tape. But as it turns out, landing a role is hard for him. Mostly because his acting sucks.
I am completely and utterly in love with you.
Now, despite that, Zach does have a couple of things going for him. Like he's charming and he's driven, and at some point, over dinner, he meets these two, Julio and Diego. And Julio and Diego are brothers, and they're also indie filmmakers. Like, they mostly make short films. And they really hit it off with Zach, and they become friends. And Zach, he eventually tells them the same lie he told Mallory. Hey, I got this connection to billionaire Howard Schultz, and I can get him to invest in your movies. So the three of them start a production company, and they end up buying the rights to low-budget English language movies and distributing them in Latin American countries. And this is a legit business model, but they need capital to get it going. So Zach hits up an old college buddy of his who works in investing, a buddy we'll call Day Trader Jake. And so Zach convinces Day Trader Jake to invest $37,000 into his new movie distribution business, promising him, hey, Howard Schultz invested in my company, and you'll make a quick return. He even shows him fake licensing agreements from Sony, ones he just typed up in Microsoft Word. So Day Trader Jake agrees to invest $37,000. And within a few months, Zach actually does pay him back with interest. So then day trader Jake tells his other investor friends, hey, invest in Zach's movie company. He'll pay you back quick, with interest. So then all of those friends start investing, partly based on the lie that Howard Schultz is involved, and partly based on the fact that Zach forged even more fake licensing agreements from Netflix and HBO. Ones that he, again, just typed up on Microsoft Word. Now, in order to pay all these new investors back, Zach turns his business into a straight-up Ponzi scheme. He starts taking money from the new investors and using it to pay back the old investors. But here's the thing though, this works really well for him because for now, all of these investors are getting paid back with interest. And so then more people hear about what he's doing and they invest in the company. And then even more people hear about it and then they start investing. And it starts with like tens of thousands of dollars and soon people are investing millions of dollars at a time into his movie distribution company because they all appear to be making a return. Now, at this point in the story, Zach is barely distributing movies at all because the real money's in the Ponzi scheme he's doing. And of course, he's paying himself during all of this too. Millions of dollars. Meanwhile, his girlfriend Mallory has no idea he's scamming. She's thinking, wow, his movie business is doing really well. I'm so grateful for Howard Schultz. And so Mallory marries him, thinking he's this incredible businessman. And suddenly they're both living this baller-ass lifestyle. Driving a new Mercedes, driving a new Audi, constantly hitting up Las Vegas casinos and spending tens of thousands of dollars at a time. They go and buy a $5.7 million house. Like, look at this. It's got a pool with a hot tub, a gym, a wine cellar, a theater, and look at this f***ing closet. Look at it. And not only that, with all this newfound money, Zach is finally able to finance movie projects that he can act in. Because remember, his goal is still to be an actor and to be famous. So then bam, he gets some acting roles in some small movies. One of them is actually this Joker fan film, which they produced and put on YouTube, where Zach actually plays the Joker.
Sorry, I couldn't quite catch that.
And yeah, he's still not that great of an actor, but at least his Ponzi scheme is going well. Until at this point, Zach's been running this scam for over 5 years, and he's managing the money of over 250 investors, and he's taken over $690 million worth of investments. Some of it he's paid back. But here's where it all starts to fall apart. Every Ponzi scheme is destined to fail, because at some point you run out of new investors to pay back the old investors. And so suddenly, kaboom! One day, Zach isn't able to deliver on a round of payments. So his old investors are like, yo, Zach, where's my money at? And so then Zach does what he does best. He turns on his charm and he starts bullshitting everyone, telling them all kinds of excuses. Oh, HBO is reorganizing, or oh, Netflix is in the middle of an audit, so the streaming services are late paying me. So to buy some time, he types up these fake emails that are supposed to be from execs at HBO and Netflix. And these emails have HBO and Netflix apologizing for the late payments and that they'll get the payments out soon. And he shows these fake emails to the investors and they believe him, and it satisfies everyone for a while. Then another year goes by and Zach still hasn't paid his investors back. And at this point, all the investors are fed up and they're tired of the excuses. And some of them, they go and they file a lawsuit against Zach and his company. So then the lawyers involved have to subpoena Netflix for their financial records because Zach told them that this was all Netflix's fault. And they're like, hey, Zach says you owe him money and therefore he can't pay us. And Netflix is like, we have no record of ever doing business with this Zach guy or his company. And so the lawyers write back and they're like, what about all these licensing agreements you signed? And then they send Netflix the fake licensing agreements that Zach had given them that he typed up in Microsoft Word, along with all of the fake emails that Zach had fabricated. And Netflix looks at it and they're like, these are fraudulent and this is a huge deal. And that is when everyone involved starts to piece all of this together and they come to the conclusion that Zach is running a Ponzi scheme. And of course, everyone is pissed off and they're disgusted and they want to take Zach down. But no one is more pissed off and disgusted than his old college buddy, day trader Jake. Because Jake was the very first investor. And he feels bad because he's the one who got all of those other investors involved. So he has to go and contact all of those other investors and shamefully tell them he may have accidentally involved all of them in a con. And by sheer coincidence, I'm sure, it's right around that time that old Zach hits him up. and he sends him an email and he asks him for even more money. But at this point, Day Trader Jake has had enough, and he contacts the FBI. And so then, boom, the FBI raids Zach's house, and they arrest Zach, and I don't have a mugshot, but he's an actor, so I do have a headshot. So here's his headshot. And allegedly, the same day he got arrested, his wife Mallory files for divorce. Good for her. Meanwhile, Zach takes a plea deal and he gets sentenced to 20 years in prison for this Ponzi scheme. Plus, he has to pay back $230 million in restitution to all the people he defrauded. But on the bright side, I guess he is sort of famous now. So this woman, she's losing her eyesight, and she'll do anything to get it back. So one day, she hears about this famous spiritual faith healer in Brazil, and she thinks maybe he can heal her eyes. So she travels to Brazil with some friends, and they get there, and she meets this faith healer, and she has a session with him, and he has her sit down in a chair, and he tilts her head back, and then he pulls out a scalpel, and he starts cutting right into her eye. Now the woman, let's call her mother-in-law, because she's my actual mother-in-law. But we'll get to her in a second. First, let's talk about the faith healer. So the faith healer, his name's John of God. And this dude claims that his God or whoever will heal people through him if he does his hocus pocus and touches them. Of course, he has no formal training in medicine. He's never been to med school. In fact, he dropped out of elementary school in the 2nd grade. But regardless, he considers himself a healer. And one day, he just decides to travel around Brazil and tell people, hey, look, I can heal you. And people fall for it. In fact, they're really into it. And over time, he slowly builds a following. And his following becomes so big that he eventually builds a spiritual healing center in the middle of this small town to accommodate all of his visitors. And there, John of God becomes known for performing what he calls psychic surgeries, which is exactly what it sounds like. He uses no anesthesia, no sterilization, and he does these medical techniques on people that just don't make any damn sense. Like he shoves surgical forceps up people's noses to heal them. Or he'll scrape the white of someone's eyeball with a scalpel in order to heal them. It's weird. Like someone will come in with back pain and he'll be like, let's scrape your eye with a scalpel, that'll heal you. But anyway, he claims this works. He claims that he's cured people's cancer. He claims that he's healed multiple sclerosis. He claims that he's helped people walk who couldn't previously walk. And while he's doing all this, he allegedly doesn't take any payment for all these healings. But he does, of course, accept donations. And he sells things to his followers, like special healing pills that are just placebo. And he also sells, and I'm not making this up, bottled holy water. And so by doing all this, John is starting to get really popular in Brazil. In fact, he gets so popular that ABC notices and they do a 1-hour special on him. And they treat him not as if he's a con man, which he is, but they treat him as if he's actually healing people. And specifically on this special, they interview a woman named Lisa Melman. And Lisa Melman on this show, she gets on camera and she loudly declares that she has breast cancer, but that she's going to quit all her chemo and all her traditional cancer treatment, and instead, she is only going to let John of God treat her. I don't know, I guess he's gonna stick forceps up her nose and that's gonna cure her breast cancer. Oh, but it gets worse. A few years later, after the ABC special, someone very influential learns about John of God. Oprah. And Oprah decides she's going to investigate and she's going to see herself if any of this is real. So she travels to Brazil and she spends a bunch of time with him. And she dedicates several episodes of her very popular TV show to praising him and his work and all these people he's allegedly healed. She even has Lisa Melman come on one of those episodes. And miraculously, Lisa claims that her breast cancer is now gone. She says her sessions with John of God cured her. And Oprah and her audience, they applaud this. But then, 2 years later, sadly, Lisa Melman dies. It turns out her breast cancer hadn't actually been cured. She just thought it had because that's what John of God told her. In fact, when she stopped her treatment, her cancer got progressively worse, and she was apparently in a lot of pain when she died. Of course, Oprah never gets on TV and mentions that part. Regardless, the damage has already been done. Oprah has endorsed John of God on her show twice and exposed him to an international audience. And from there, his business just explodes. People are flying in from all over the world trying to get healed by him. At this point, at his spiritual healing center, he's healing over 10,000 people a month. And he's making bank. He's getting tons of donations. He's selling trinkets and bottled holy water and those placebo pills left and right. And he's making more money than he's ever made. Allegedly, he's making over $14 million a year just on those pills alone. But then, in a weird twist, at some point, John of God gets diagnosed with stomach cancer himself. And so does he use his magical spiritual healing powers to heal his stomach cancer? No, of course not. He goes to a regular ass doctor, and he gets normal treatment, and he gets surgery in a normal hospital, and he does 5 months of chemo like anyone else who would have stomach cancer. And of course, he recovers in like a year. And then he initially denies to everyone that that happened, because I guess him using traditional medicine is bad for his business. So anyway, my mother-in-law hears about this guy, and she wants to travel to Brazil to see him. See, my mother-in-law, she has an eye disorder called macular degeneration, and unfortunately, every year she loses more and more of her vision, and she's lost most of it at this point. And she feels like, hey, maybe this John of God guy can help bring her eyesight back. And she's not dumb, she's not gullible, she's just desperate for a cure. So she comes to me and my wife, and she tells us that she's going to Brazil. And me and my wife are like, oh, please don't. You know, we're worried about what could happen to you. And this guy is obviously a fraud and a turd for telling people he can heal them. But unfortunately, she doesn't listen to us. She'll do anything to fix her eyes. So she goes to Brazil and she meets him. And she has a session with him and he sits her down in a chair and he tilts her head back or whatever. And he pulls out a scalpel and he does the thing where he scrapes the white of her eye with that scalpel. He then has her put a cover over that eye. And he tells her that in a few days, she can take that cover off and her vision will be healed. Somehow, in both eyes. Meanwhile, me and my wife are there in the US and we're just waiting to see that when that cover comes off, if her vision is actually healed. Now this is where the story goes off the rails. You aren't ready for this. Around this same time, a Dutch woman named Sahira, she's struggling with some mental trauma. And she sees this guy on Oprah's TV show, this guy named John of God, who claims he can heal people. So she's like, hey, maybe he can help heal my mental trauma. So she flies to Brazil and she shows up to the spiritual healing center and she waits in line and she sees him a couple of different times. One of those times she sees him, something exciting happens. John of God offers her a private consultation and she's super excited. So she waits until everyone's gone and then he invites her into his office. And while she's there, he takes her into the bathroom and he makes her hand touch him inappropriately. And afterwards, she's like, that was weird. And like, I don't know, maybe that's just part of the healing process. So she goes back later for another private session with him. And this time, when they're alone, he takes her into the bathroom again and he straight up SAs her, like with a hard R. And here's the thing, the mental trauma that Sahira went to see him for was specifically sexual trauma. So she went to see him and told him about her sexual trauma, and his response was to SA her. And so poor Sahira doesn't know what to do. I mean, she feels violated and sick to her stomach. And she wants to tell someone, but at the same time, she believes this man is actually healing so many people. So she decides to not tell anyone. And she buries it deep down with all her other sexual trauma. Until 4 years later, the Me Too movement happens, and Sahira finally finds out she's not alone. So she posts about her experience with John of God on Facebook, and then she gets invited onto a Brazilian TV show to talk about it. And there, on that show, she meets a dozen other women, all who say that John of God SA'd them too. And this TV show airs, and suddenly, all of Brazil knows about these accusations, and everyone's talking about it. And so this relatively unknown, so this guy, let's call him Eggplant. So this teenage kid, he commits so many crimes that he's about to run from. So this redneck dude is somehow able to pull off one of the biggest
For the first time in 8 years, Rocket League is changing. Or is it? Despite making a multitude of updates to Rocket League's game modes, ranking system, and UI over the years, Psyonix has been very protective about messing with the core mechanics of the game, and it's remained unchanged since 2016 when they accidentally added flip resets. And look how that turned out. Now I'm getting flip resetted on in every single game I play. Thanks, Psyonix. I recently took a 2-month break from Rocket League and spent a lot of my time working on my history channel, Sunless Maximus.
Are you not entertained?
But when I'm not making boring history content, I've been playing Rocket League again, and I'm pretty amazed with what I found after 2 months of absence. Absolutely nothing has changed. Okay, I lied. A few things have changed, and they're actually pretty significant. Mechanical skill, for instance. Mechanics have gotten better. A lot better. Mine haven't gotten better, but other people are insane now. I don't know if you guys have realized, but the last 2 seasons have been really difficult to even maintain your former rank. It feels like everyone is down a rank or 2, and it's much more competitive. I never really thought Rocket League could get more competitive, but I was wrong. In 2024, you are fighting for your life in every single game. It doesn't matter what rank you are. Players are much more skilled across all ranks. It's not like the old days where someone would clip on you and you knew they were a smurf. You have to respect your opponent no matter what rank you are, because you never know who's gonna whip out something nasty on you. Like, check this out. This is a teammate I had when I was starting to play again. Bang! Casually hits a corner psycho across the field. Look at our opponent's reaction. You think they're expecting a psycho? This is Champ 2. That's Rocket League in 2024. Psychos in Champ 2. But by far the biggest change in Rocket League is now you can see how much boost your teammate has using a little circle next to their name. See, look how great this feature is. Right now I can see my teammate has full boost, so I know he'll be able to make the perfect pass to me. Oh, here's a better situation. My teammate is defending and he's completely full of boost, so I'm sure he's got it all locked down. Oh. You know, another thing I found interesting when I started playing Rocket League again is there's this thing where hackers can become invisible in ranked games now. I know this is a feature that's always been a big part of the game, but in my opinion, we should remove it. See, I already made a video where I made everyone invisible, so this is just a normal experience for me. Don't get me wrong, I love getting scored on by hackers, and I love scoring on them even more. But I'm just worried that my fellow Rocket League players might not be having as good of a time as I am. You know, Rocket League used to have a system to keep these exploits out of ranked. Back then, if you were a hacker and found an exploit, you could report it to the dev team, and in exchange, they would give you the rarest item in the game, a white hat. This system kept Rocket League hack-free for years, but they stopped doing that a while ago with no explanation. Maybe it's because they removed trading. Now they don't have any way of giving attention to people who have nothing better to do than to find exploits in a kid's toy car soccer game. So these hacks find their way into ranked. Good job, Hacker Man. We're all proud of you. And what's this? The answer to all my Rocket League prayers? We now have central US servers. I can't wait to experience the buttery smoothness that these new servers have to offer me. Oh look guys, new Sunless alias just dropped. Wait for it. Wait for it. Board scored. Now if you don't play Rocket League, you might not understand why these little changes are such a big deal for us. So this little circle might seem dumb to you, but to us, this little circle is everything. But yeah, it is kind of dumb. Because Rocket League players are kind of dumb. Let me show you what I mean. Here we have a typical game at Neo Tokyo. Opening goal, Lord Floordmore board scored. GG. We're 3 seconds in. A lot of scrappy play in this game. Some bumps, big 50, teammate crashing in. If you don't like that, you don't like Rocket League. Yeah, but you want to be a dickhead, so I could care less. GG. Actually, it's couldn't care less. This is the most sane ones player with an anime profile picture. You gotta use the aggression against them. 1v1 is like Taekwondo, or whichever martial art where you do that. Trash. Oh my god! It's Judo, I think, actually. Alright, let's see what you got, Judy. I believe in you, teammate. Oh. Okay, well, next game. You know, since I'm so bad, this should be pretty easy for you, Judy. Should be pretty easy to play against me. Okay. What a save! Sorry! Sorry. Okay. Close one. Come here, Judy. Come here. Okay. All right, my teammate's over there on the ball. I should go hit it. Oh, he turned back, and it's my fault. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just give him a perfect pass in retaliation. There's no way he will miss this shot. Let me show you guys a really advanced move I like to do. It's called missing the ball. Rat. No. GG. Imagine giving up 2 goals in. Amazing game. No way! For real. People's mental in this game is whack. I think it's a good mentality. Not to brag, but I'm pretty good at quick chatting. Like, have you ever seen a pre-jumped quick chat? Great pass! Now you have. And I don't want to make it seem like my teammates are all bad. Like, some of them can defend really well. Not this one, but some of them can. This one's good at defending if your definition of defending is not allowing anybody to score. Now my opponent will demonstrate how to defend in Rocket League. So the first thing you do is leave. So one of the biggest things I noticed when I came back to Rocket League is everyone is really good at offense, like this guy, beautiful shot, but then on defense, everyone sucks. Like this guy is completely lost on defense, but he can hit some sick clips. And this has got to be one of the most satisfying double taps I've ever seen. But then when it comes to defense, it's like, oh, I gotta go up. Oh, it was actually a weak shot on the goal line, and I could have saved it if I would have been patient. Oh my god. Overtime. Is there a more epic scenario in all of Rocket League? Some of the greatest moments in the history of the game have occurred in this sudden death period, and this game was no exception. In the previous game, I had destroyed the orange team, and now they were gunning for revenge here at Estadio Vita. After that unfortunate car accident right there, the orange team was about to score on us. If it wasn't for this miracle, a lucky bounce, and a quick response to keep our team alive. My heart was beating fast as my teammate and I clung to life in a desperate attempt to do the impossible. This was turning out to be an insane game. And then my teammate decided to end the game by own goaling. And of course, this was my fault. Because if there's one thing that will never change in Rocket League, it's that when you lose, you should always blame your teammate. That's why I made this video. But in my defense, watch this. Okay, off kickoff, and a turn, take that full boost, that's fine. Oh, then take that full boost, and then take that full boost. So now he's got 80, he's already used 20 to turn around and stay on the ball. Okay. So we used 300 boost to do nothing. You know, accidents happen all the time, and that's fine. Because I'm back, I'll make the save, and then I'll get scored on by my teammate, and then he'll leave. That's fine. That's just how I planned. But you know, even I get tired of being an angry old man yelling at my teammates, so I just play a lot of ones. And these are the types of people I have to play against. This guy is insane. And this is why you should play ones if you want to improve your defense. Mechanics are so insane in Rocket League these days that your best chance at improving is just to play against players like this. Look, this guy can only go for clips. That's all he knows how to do. It's incredible. I was just in awe this entire game. I'm not even mad that I got destroyed. I'm a little mad, but check this out. This is the greatest goal anyone's ever scored on me. This was Champ 1 in 1v1. That's a full field musty into backwards reset into another musty. And don't even get me started on the insane wall dashes everyone's doing now. This is in Champ 2. This dude is wall dashing in my ear. He made me miss this shot, I swear. So when you play ones, you basically have to fight for your life, and that's what improves your defense. This guy hits this beautiful flip reset on me. So on the next play, this is what I do. I see he's only going for clips, like he could have scored there, but no, he's got to take it up the wall. Well, I'm going to do a little chase down block on him. He'll never see this coming.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, block.
Defense wins championships. Now I just have an easy open net that I, of course, miss. Oh, and they also changed the name of the item categories. So that's That's huge. So after committing to playing ones nonstop for a week or so, my defense did improve a lot. So much, in fact, I started making all these crazy saves in twos as well. I even got compliments on my saves, which has never happened to me in Rocket League. So my greatest Rocket League tip is you should play ones. You know, I kind of like giving tips. People ask me all the time to coach them in Rocket League, and I always say no. Because, let's be honest, I would be a terrible Rocket League coach. It would probably go something like this. Hello, my student. So this is you, and that's your teammate, and that's the ball. So just looking at the position of the blue team here that you're on, I would say it's your teammate that should go for this ball, because your teammate is closest to the ball. But if we see, so you wave dash towards the ball here. So I see what you're doing. This is what you're doing, probably. I get that. I get that this is cool. I get that this is what you want to do. But if you look right under the ball, there's your teammate. So your teammate's right there. So both of you probably shouldn't be over here because that's your entire team in 2v2. What I would do if I were you, I would be more like over here. I'd be kind of in this area driving around. And if I was in this area, then I'd be ready for a pass. So I'd probably be more over here. Now we're in a good spot for a pass, but you're over here. So you got to book it. Use a lot of boost. Book it over here. Now you're all, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no. Oh, I'm chasing the ball. Oh, no, no, no. Now I got to come over here. So now you're over here. Now this teammate looks like he can pass pretty well. That's going to be a great pass from that guy. Now you're probably wondering, where do I shoot this ball? So for me, somewhere around here, probably. Anywhere over here, up in here is good. Down here is good too, actually. Actually, all of this, anywhere. Wow, that is a gaping net. That is, wow, that's open. So yeah, I would say anywhere in there would be good. Actually, it looks impossible to miss. Yeah, let's just see what you do here. So yeah, like I said, I would shoot at the net. Oh, you shoot it right at your teammate's face. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I like passes a lot, but in this situation, I wouldn't pass to your teammate's face. In fact, slow that down. Yeah, that wasn't actually